I'm not joking. President Donald Trump on the record saying he's not ruling out another run for the White House, telling NBC News, quote, there are methods by which he could do it. Now, the president is limited to 2 terms by the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, but that has not stopped President Trump from flirting with this idea before.
It will be the greatest honor of my life to serve not once, but twice, or 3 times, or 4 times.
I mean, come on, man. Even if he is serious, which he probably is, you got to. I mean, he's damn funny, man. He's a fucking funny guy.
Headlines from the fake news. Now it will be to serve twice.
Should I run again? You tell me. There's your controversy right there. There's your controversy.
And you can see it, right? Like, he's setting them up, you know. Even in the end, if he doesn't do it, like, he just, it's a way, like, you know, even the people that think that he's not a smart man, I mean, he knows how to steer a news cycle, right? We were talking about Signal, all this stuff, crazy stuff. And what does he do? He throws a haymaker and it lands, right? That's just what he does.
CNN's Betsy Klein is live in West Palm Beach tonight. Betsy, he said he's not joking when asked about this, then also said that it's too early to be talking about it. What more is he saying?
Yeah, Jessica, you're absolutely right that this is not the first time this has come up, albeit a little tongue-in-cheek as you just laid out. But President Trump openly talking about the prospect of seeking a 3rd term in office, and he says this is not a joke. I want to read to you part of the transcript from the telephone interview he had with NBC News' Kristen Welker. Welker says, "Sir, I'm hearing you don't sound like you're joking. I've heard you joke about this a number of times," to which the president responds, no, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. The president goes on to say that there are methods on which he could seek a 3rd term. Welker asked if it's possible that Vice President J.D. Vance gets elected and then passes the baton. The president indicated that wasn't.
So this has been being floated right now. I mean, to be honest with you, it's an interesting idea. So obviously you could amend the Constitution. That's one way. I personally would say that if this was the idea, rather than have J.D. Vance run, because then technically speaking, he wouldn't be able to run again. That would be his 1st term. Why can't they just throw like a no-name guy that doesn't want to run for president? All right, just put me up there. Say, hey, I'm running, but I'm not really running. It's actually for Trump. So vote me in. I rescind when I get up there, and you know, I mean, it's just a way to rattle up the news, right? It's a way to capture the news cycle. Right, when things aren't going his way, or even they are going his way, but he sees that the news cycle is fixated on a particular issue that's kind of like hurting his guys or whatever. Just throw a bomb and just throw a grenade in the room and walk out the door. That's what he does. It's great.
An option, but he said there are others too. The president, of course, repeatedly said it is, quote, too early to think about it. Now, the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, it bears repeating, Jessica, added back in 1951, and it says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Now, repealing that amendment would require a 2/3 vote in the House and Senate.
All right, he's not talking about being elected. I mean, you could repeal this, right? It would take, I think, 2/3 in the House, 2/3 in the Senate, and then I think the majority of the states have to agree. I don't know how that works, but yeah, that's not what he's talking about, right? He's talking about him running as the second whip, as the VP.
And ratification in 3/4 of states. So that is extremely unlikely. However, Steve Bannon, who is a top outside ally to President Trump, has mused that the president could be eligible because the amendment doesn't specify consecutive terms. We should also note that President Trump is going to be the oldest president ever in office at the end of his 2nd term, topping Joe Biden's record at 82 years and 7 months old in January of 2029. Asked if he even wanted to serve a 3rd term, the president said he likes working. Jessica.
Joining me to discuss these comments, CNN contributor and former White House counsel for President Nixon, John Dean. John, thanks so much for being here with us. I first just want to get your reaction to these new comments from the president.
Well, he likes constitutional end runs. That's what Bannon was talking about. And that's what seems to be on his mind, is how he can get around the very clear language of the 22nd Amendment, which precludes getting reelected to more than 2 terms.
And President Trump said, I have other methods. What could those constitutionally be?
They'd have to be written by the Supreme Court that would redefine the Constitution. As I say, I describe it as a constitutional end run. Jessica, this is not a new debate. It actually goes back to a Law Journal article in 1999 where a bunch of scholars got together and looked at the 22nd Amendment and said, you know, maybe a president cannot be reelected twice, but maybe he can serve twice. How does he serve twice? He becomes a vice presidential candidate. Then the vice president steps aside and makes him the president under the succession statute. This is really obtuse. This is it is pretty good scholarship. It's been debated for a lot of years. Hillary Clinton looked at it when she was nominated, thinking maybe her president, her husband, former president, should be her vice president. But then she realized, well, he's not really eligible to become president under my reading and most readings of the 22nd Amendment. So she precluded that. A lot of people thought Obama should go for another term. He didn't. He read the Constitution and said, no, I'm not for end runs.
Okay, either that or he read the money train, right? How much money did he make when he left office? I mean, you could say that, and in theory, he probably did have a third term, with his control of the apparatus that was the previous 4 years. But yeah, let's.
How much faith do you have in our democratic system to prevent that from happening?
Well, I think the courts have held because they're being tested right now as they never have before. There's over 100 cases that really implicate the Constitution and the system and our democracy, if you will, where Trump and Elon Musk, in some instances, are just running roughshod over the laws and the statutes that exist on how to hire people, fire people, who you can do with a statute, how do you allocate money that is appropriated by Congress. This is just being ignored, but the courts are really making the issue of the president must comply with the law. Now the question will be, will he comply with the law?
Certainly. And I'm curious, too, just from your perspective, even having this.
It's interesting because he was just talking that a lot of scholars were debating this, 25 years ago. So it's not, he's talking about it like if it's 2 + 2 = 4. This is not a cut and dry, open and shut case on an idea. This is something that is people have thought about, people have considered,
Conversation that you and I are having right now, having a sitting president that's flirting, let's call it, with this idea. What does that do to American democracy?
It's not healthy. I can't tell you how depressed I have been with some of his decisions, what he's doing with tariffs. He really doesn't have unlimited tariff power. That belongs to the Congress. You wouldn't know that given the current debate. So he's beating up on the economy. He's beating up on democracy. He's beating up on federal.
I just, the notion of the idea of democracy for these people is just, it's just a term that is just thrown about. Like, I mean, he's obviously, an intellectual, right? He's a guy he's read a lot of books. He knows a lot of things, but he's tarnished with, with either TDS or whatever hatred he has, and his political, it's just mind rot. Like it makes people that are on the surface level, or even actual intellectuals, it just turns them into like mindless zombies, and they just have to believe a certain way.
Employees. Last week he filed a federal action in Waco, Texas, where there's only one judge who is pretty predictable on how he comes out on things. He's very conservative, to attack federal unions, federal employee unions. So these are very troubling times for me anyway, and for anybody who loves our democracy.
And that's the way it goes, right? It's the end of democracy. The end of democracy. That's what it. I mean, if you want to talk about the boy who cried wolf, I mean, it's crazy, right? They said he wasn't going to leave. He was going to be a dictator on day one, going all the way back to his first president's, his first term. Let's be honest, his first term was completely stolen from him, right? He was spied upon. You want to talk about? You can go down the list of the illegal FISA warrants, the weaponization of the DOJ, all of these things that just came at him. Russiagate, the dossier, multiple impeachments. I mean, it's amazing that he got anything done. It's amazing I got anything done, right? And then come about, 2020 election. Say what you want about that. Stolen, not stolen. Honestly, to be honest with you, and I've been saying this for quite a while, not online, but in my inner circle of friends. Him not being president in 2020 was the best thing that could have ever happened to him. He was able to buckle down, get around some of these amazing people. It's crazy. It's like whenever I see the administration, it's like everybody that I've been watching for the past 4 years. Whether it's Cash, whether it's Nikki, whether it's JFK, RFK. Sorry, excuse me. It's the people that I've been. Jay Bhattacharya. I mean, you want to talk about a who's who of who like liberty-minded people have been watching and paying attention to. It's like he gathered them all up and said, "You guys are in my administration," right? And it just goes to show you that had he been elected during that time, it would have been another lame duck. He would have barely won. It would have been contested. There would have been riots right away. It just would have been a disaster again, and it would have sucked, And now he had 4 years to coalesce and get these guys together and think and plan and figure these things out. And he now knew the system, which he didn't know before. So honestly, this is the best case scenario that we could have expected. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road. That goes without saying. That goes without saying all the time. But I think overall, I mean, he's rocking and rolling. These guys are doing what they got to do. Guys, please hit that like button. Give me a share. Subscribe if you can. I really appreciate the subscriptions. Yeah, man, we'll do this again real soon. Thank you guys so much for coming out.